Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Em and today we're going to be talking about Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils. I've gotten a lot of comments about polychromos, how do I feel about them, how would I use them in the style that I do, I guess. So I just wanted to do a couple drawings today with them to show you how that would go, theoretically and not theoretically at all, literally, quite literally. Oh my God. So I decided to swatch all of these out so I could get a really good lay of the land because I haven't really used these in a little while. I've actually had these pencils for the longest amount of time out of all color pencils, but I have very little experience in comparison to Prismacolor and Holbein just because I just don't tend to reach for these ones as much. As you can see, there's a lot of darker tones and mid-tones, and I'm a pastel girl. I always start light. I always use lighter colors and then a couple dark colors. And I just find that I didn't really have the options with these ones. That's not to say they are not very good pencils because they are very good. But it's just for me, myself personally, that's the reason why I don't always use them. But they're great for sketching. They have a really nice tip, a really nice lead. So this is a Royal Talon sketchbook, by the way. I have to say it because everybody always asks me. So I'm going to start with my pencil that I do always use for sketching, my Polychromos salmon colored pencil with my pencil extender. I don't know why I use a pencil extender. I just like a long grip on it, I guess. And I'm going to draw these apples. Why did I pick something that is a red fruit? I don't know because red tends to be a difficult color for me, but I just really wanted to draw some apples, to be honest. And yeah, I could have made them green, but I know that the range of reds in this color selection that I have is a lot, so I thought might as well use them. So I started out with this. This is probably the brightest, most neon color in the entire options that you have with polychromos that I could find, and it's like a yellow green. It's like a chartreuse neon-y kind of color. I really like that color. I'll be using it a lot because it's like the highest saturated, most brightest color that they have. And you know I like to do a reflected light color, and you know that I like to have some high saturation areas. So just with this selection, I was struggling starting out because I didn't really know where I was going to go with it. But once I got used to them, I was like, okay, I can see how this is going to work. So with the next drawing especially, I found that that was really good. And I did really like the range of reds. They have it's my pet peeve when I can't find a nice like vermilion scarlet. I want an orange red, and then I want like the purpliest, pinkiest kinds of reds as well. And so they do have a really good selection of that. They seem to have quite a good selection of like all the basic colors. It's just that they don't have the light scale. Like I can't find a light color. There are basically no pastel tones. There's one color called sky blue and one called light cobalt turquoise or something like that. I can't remember exactly. Those are the two lightest colors. Oh, and like a lilac-y pink color. But when I put them on the paper, they don't really come off as being that light. And this could also be user error because please keep in mind that I don't use these pencils very often. So like I always say, if you have the tools, like whatever your favorite kind is, you use that and you get used to it, you're going to be able to do whatever you want. The point is, can it layer? Can you do the style that like I usually do? So I just went about it the way I would normally go about things and see what I could get and if I could get the same effects that I normally like. So if I'm giving you my opinion on it, just keep in mind that I'm not the best with these and I do like the result that I got, but they're not like my favorite. But I do think you can use them and they're going to be great if that's the tool that you choose to use. Do you understand what I'm saying? Is it making sense? I'm just trying to, I don't want to like rip on them because I know they're really good pencils and I know a lot of people really like them and I don't think that they're bad. I just had a little bit of trouble like layering the colors that I would normally want and also getting the tones that I would like to get. So and also I've used Derwent pencils and I've used Prismacolor pencils and I didn't really have the same problems. So I'm thinking it's a polychromos problem, or maybe not a problem. Maybe I'm just using them wrong. I don't know, but let me know what you think. So if I would layer on top, where I tried to do a couple shadowy kind of things and I wanted to add some more colors in the shadows, and I just found that no matter what I did, the color kind of just came off as dark, like brownish, like not really. If I put a purple on there and then I tried to do a turquoise kind of thing, it was just looking dark. It was just getting darker and darker. It wasn't really, I don't really know like why that happened. I don't really understand, but it wasn't giving me like highly saturated, nice, bright colors the way I wanted. It was sort of giving me like just getting more and more neutral. I didn't really know what was happening there. So I kind of tried to stick on the safe side. And I still do really like the way these apples turned out. I think they look pretty good. And I did also just think of these apples in my brain. I didn't follow, I think I had a couple references that I was looking at, but there wasn't a specific reference that I was studying from for this one. So that's always a little tough when you're doing that, you know, because you don't, especially when it's like a thing that people see all the time. I should have probably just gotten a picture that I really liked, but I couldn't find one. So I just made it up in my head. And I just did a couple leaves on the side to test some of the greens too. So yeah, just giving me like lackluster, I guess. And this was the blue. I put the lightest blue there in the shadow area. It was really that I had to erase a bunch, and I found that that was giving me a little bit more of the color payoff, or at least seeing the true bluish color. And this is where I was putting the turquoise, and I wasn't getting turquoise. I was getting like, it was coming off as like really dark color. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I'm still really confused by it. And I hope this doesn't make me sound like a total dumbass because I'm doing something wrong, or there's some reason why that didn't work for me that I'm missing right now. So sorry. Like I said, while I'm telling you about these, I don't have very much experience with them. So just keep that in mind. And I'm not trying to hate on them. I'm sure it's just user error. And I do still like how they came out. I really think I should have just picked maybe a study to do instead of something that was from my imagination to start, so that I could know if I had colors to go with. You know, I had something to look at and test if I was getting that color. So the next one I did was a little cute robin. And I don't even usually draw birds, but today was the day. I don't know what happened to me, but I love this little bird. I think it's so cute, and I'm kind of obsessed with robins now, and I would like to draw them more. So they have really nice like puffiness to them. And I'm talking about the UK ones, not the Canada ones. The Canada ones are kind of like pigeons mixed with robins, but these ones in the UK are so cute and fluffy, and I love them. So this one went much better, and I found myself having a lot of fun. I felt that the colors were working a lot better for me. So that's something to keep in mind too. I also was jazzed to start using my long point pencil sharpener again because I really like a long point, and these pencils are so good for it. I don't want to come off as like I'm trying to advertise for them, because I genuinely bought these pencils years ago by myself, but I just want to give you like a good idea of how it feels. So they feel very like they're not going to break. And that's really useful to me. So I did really enjoy that. And I love sketching with them. That's why I like to use that salmon color to sketch, but I also like to use the earth green. And I've been tending towards that one now that it's winter, because that's kind of, I don't know, it's just working for me now. And they're just nice. They just go down nice. They're pretty easy to erase. The earth green and the salmon pink I really like to sketch with. So for the bird, as I was layering it, it was going much better because I could see what I was looking at from the reference. I'll have put it up somewhere. The only thing I would say is that I wish I could have had a more neon kind of orangey color. Obviously, you know that's my favorite color, but I wish I had that for the chest part of the bird, because I think that would have looked cool. So I did find myself I had to adjust my own style and what I was doing to work with the pencils. I really couldn't do, I guess, the colors that I normally do, but I could do the layering and the techniques that I normally do very easily. I had no problem. So if you're a person that likes more toned down color palettes, more neutral, a lot of deeper colors, that one is going to be for you. The other good thing about Polychromos is that they sell them individually, and you know how I feel about that. I love that. I think it's really good that they sell them individuals, because when you can layer stuff, you don't need every single color. I don't know why I bought that many blues back in the day. Like, why did I think that I needed that? I don't barely ever use blues. Had some sort of aspirations, I can't remember now. So yeah, it just went really lightly, and like I said, I was using the edge of the pencil, and because it's very hard but also comes off on the page as a very nice, soft, blended color, it was really interesting actually. It worked really well. So I think doing this, it did change my mind about them, and I'll probably go back to them for different uses, like getting darker colors might be very good. They're also oil-based. I looked this up. And so are my Holbein ones that I normally use. And this is supposedly on the Faber-Castell, like this is what they say about it. They don't have a quote unquote waxy bloom, which I don't know what that actually means, but I think they mean it's like not as blurry on the outer linings of what you're doing. You're kind of getting like a really clean line, like where you're putting the pencil, that's where the color is gonna go. And I do agree with that because it does hold a point very well, and I can be very precise with little difficulty. Like it's very easy to get these little shadows that I'm doing here on the bird and the little edges, and I love doing things like that, so that's really, really useful to me. That being said, I don't see that much of a difference with the definition than from Holbein ones. I'd have to test the Prismacolor ones and check that, because Prismacolor is the one that's wax based, so I'm guessing they're kind of like throwing shade at Prismacolor with that whole waxy bloom thing. I don't know what that means really. I think they're all generally fine. As long as you're not doing something super, super tiny, you should be okay, which that would probably be a problem no matter what. Like that's gonna be tough. This is a Tombow Mono Knock eraser, just so you know. Everybody asked me that one too. It's a great eraser. I really love it. And because these are so easy to erase, same like the Holbein, I can get those reflected lights in, and I can layer in. I really like where the little kind of bluish patch is near the eye of the bird. I was able to get that in quite well, and that's in the reference. I really wanted to bring out that little bit of blue that I see there. So I was really happy about that. Like I said, the blue is pretty much the lightest color I could find, and generally the only lightest pastel color I could find. There's sort of a pinky color, I think it's called like light magenta or lilac or something like that, but it's not coming off as being super light. It's not light enough in contrast to the other colors, so I'm just not getting the effects I would normally use. So that was kind of like, it's kind of a downer, to be honest, for me, but I'm just wondering why I can't get that with layering, and it's coming off as like more muddy when I put them all together rather than like just laying on top of each other, if you know what I mean. The colors aren't laying on top the way I would want. And I have used, what's it called, Derwent drawing pencils, and those are all neutral tones, and I was able to get like a nice lighter colors. Like I know how to use the color ranges differently, so that wasn't really the problem. It's more the light and dark and the contrast, and maybe I just wasn't using them properly that day. But I do really like how this little bird turned out. I'm actually quite jazzed about it. I did get kind of like lazy with the piece of wood that it's sitting on. I wanted to try a bit of a branch to see how that would go. So I took this sort of beige-ish color, I think it's called beige, and I can't remember all the colors, but anyways. And then just kind of layered around, and that turned out pretty nice, but I was being a little lazy with it. I was kind of like, eh. What I should have done was do the branch the same time as I did the bird. I'm not sure why I didn't sort of lay a nice little base layer of the same color down so that I could kind of unify them both. I'm not sure why I forgot to do that. I think I was just like out of my comfort zone using something different, and I was a little nervous to, do that, and I really wanted it to turn out nice and be good. So this is just my first attempt at getting back into these and trying to use them. So if you are using Polychromos, I think layer them slowly and do light layers, and you're going to be just fine. And I have used Prismacolor, and Polychromos together. I've definitely used Prismacolor and Holbein together, so it's okay to use wax-based and oil-based together and layer them. That's not a problem. I haven't found a problem with it. I haven't run into any issues like that. So you can, who says you can't buy a couple different ones from Prismacolor or whatever that are the lighter tones that you want and then mix them, because these are really, really, they lay on the page so nice, and it barely moves once you put it down. Like I do find sometimes with Holbein it's a little more dusty, and when I put my hand on the page, sometimes by accident I'll move the lead, the little dust particles or whatever. Derwent is really bad for that. They're pretty dusty, and then it'll, you know, smudge on the paper. I got to go back and erase it, and I didn't have that problem with these. They pretty much stay where you put them, which is a really great feature. And so this is what the final result is. I hope you liked it, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye.